everyone. Welcome back to the Command Your Brand Show. I'm your host, Josh Silvestro, brand ambassador of Command Your Brand, where we help CEOs and founders get on top-rated podcasts. Definitely check us out at commandyourbrand.com and check us out on how we're so big in on that. So I want to introduce you guys to a very cool guest speaker who I'm just kind of really fond of. He actually was super nice, and he actually sent me his own book, and actually pair of socks with that. So I kind of more appreciate him and like the era of socks. I'm a big socks guy, and he actually is the CEO of Shopper Approved, who just is apparel. I just hear a lot of cool things about it, like how it just deals with behavior and how people are buying things. And I'd like to introduce you guys to Scott. So Scott, thanks for joining the show, man.
Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah. So I guess what we'll first start off with for people, who don't know who you are and what you do. So I guess tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then also why you started the company that you have today.
Sure. Originally, I'm from Alberta, Canada, from a tiny town in the middle of nowhere called Vauxhall, which is a really weird thing. But
Yeah.
I actually moved to Utah in my early 20s, and I've been here ever since. And I always wanted to go into business with my dad ever since I was a little kid. And so when I was in my early 20s, I started my first business with my dad, and it was actually an online store. And back then, it was like the Wild West. So we actually started our first e-commerce website with one page with drawings of T-shirts and a phone number on the bottom of it.
Wow.
So that's how old it was.
Yeah.
And we actually had people call us and buy from us, which is pretty cool.
Wow. That's amazing. And so what led your passion to now start what you have today as Shopper Approved? Like what made you decide I'm going this route? This is like my passion in life.
Yeah. So I played in the e-commerce space for probably about 10 years or so. And I realized that I wanted to get into the software industry because one of the difficult things about selling physical products is you have to just kind of continue to grind, right? Continue to make the next sale. With software, you can set up recurring billing. So you sell it once and then you can, bill for it for as long as that person is a client. And I like that idea. And I also, you don't have to do inventory and things like that. So I saw some really cool opportunities there. And so we sold that retail company, and we actually went into software. And one night I was looking online at Amazon, and I saw that they were collecting ratings and reviews. And I had this thought, I'm like, why doesn't somebody make it so that other websites can collect ratings and reviews like Amazon? And that the light bulb went off in my head, right? And so that night I stayed up late and I wrote a bunch of notes on this idea of how to create a review company for other companies to compete against Amazon. And the next day I went to the office, and at the time we had a couple employees and my dad and me. So I set them all down at a table, and I was so excited. I'm like, hey guys, I have this great idea to create this review company. And I was so excited. I showed them my whole plan, and it was just crickets. Like nobody wanted to do it. Nobody thought it was a good idea at all. So they actually shut it down, and I tabled the idea for a year. And at that point, my dad and I were butting heads quite a bit because we had started before Shopper Approved. We had started another software company called TrustGuard, and it's still around today. It does website security. And so that company was actually going really well at the time. But me and my dad had different ideas of where we wanted it to go. And so I didn't want to fight with my dad. And so I had what we call the car conversation in our company. And so me and my dad kind of had it out in my car in the parking lot. And I told him, Dad, I need my own project because I love you too much to fight with you every day. And so he's like, okay, you can you can do your review thing, but I get to control everything else. And so that day I walked away from all the other stuff we were doing, and I started Shopper Approved. And then in 2010, we launched it, and it's just been a crazy ride ever since. It's been 15 years since we started that, which is a long time for a software company, but it's been super fun.
Yeah, that's very fascinating because I know, I've been on YouTube and I'm 30, just so you know, so I'm not super old,
Okay.
but, just kind of growing up, you kind of, you've heard, especially if on YouTube, there's like a whole big committee of like, oh, look at reviews, check out the reviews, look at Amazon. What are their reviews? What are their reviews for this? So, I guess does reviews in products actually play a role in actually people buying them, do you think? Or is it just like a catch, like a catch that kind of like they kind of like, oh, it's like 150,000, 5 stars. Let me just get that instead.
Oh yeah, definitely. Reviews are a huge impact on purchasing decisions. And a lot of people don't know this, but there's different kinds of reviews online. So there's what's called store ratings, and that is a review about the company or the experience overall. And then there's product reviews, like you mentioned, Josh, where people rate the specific product that they're buying. And then there's also video reviews where people can actually leave a video about the company. And so there's those three different types of reviews that show up, but they all play a role in the buying process. And so it just depends on where you're at in the funnel, which type of reviews that you typically see. But if you go to, like, for example, if you do like a basic search in Google, those reviews, those stars that come up, those are typically store ratings. And then if you go into Google Shopping, those are product reviews that you'll see typically. And then if you like do a basic search and you see like a video, you can see video reviews in like a basic search, or if you go to YouTube, you can actually see product video reviews there. So it just depends on where you're at in the cycle and what you see to help you get influenced to go and buy that thing.
Yeah, I know because one thing you're gonna get a good laugh at this one, but we were looking at the house pricing of like different areas in New Jersey, and like, wow, this is just so damn expensive. And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh my god, what I wonder what a tiny house on Amazon looks like, and you see like these $40,000, $10,000, and I'm like, watch this, I'm like, wow, some people say it's really good, and I'm like, look on YouTube, some say, wow, this is really trash, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, and it was just kind of funny that you mentioned that because it really the reviews do play a role in actually how people buy things, especially when you buy in bulk. A lot of people, buy in bulk, on Amazon or in just different, different zones of different stores. Like, you have Costco and other places. So, is it only, I guess for you, do you find it's only useful in Amazon, or is it just anything throughout online stores?
Um, no, it's pretty much anybody that sells anything online can collect and leverage reviews.
Yeah.
The problem is that last time I checked, so I went to Shopify probably about 6 months ago just to see how many review platforms were on there. The problem is I counted over 120 online review platforms, but there's only about 10 that actually have the right partnerships with Google and Bing in order for those reviews to display in search. So, what we typically say here in the office is if you don't use one of those Google review partners to collect reviews and display them, then you're an island because nobody can see those reviews except if they go to your website. And so you don't get to leverage that social proof outside of your brand.
Right.
And so it's very difficult to leverage that to get somebody to buy from you if they can't see it before they even get to your site. They don't know it's there. So you got to be really careful what company you use and how you leverage those reviews in order to get as much social proof and online visibility from that asset.
Yeah. And so just another question, because I should really, honestly, I'm just really curious, is from your standpoint, because, like there's other sites like too, like Alibaba, and there's like just other Amazon kind of spoofs, stores, and there's sometimes you'll find that do you ever find like there's fake reviews and products, like they're just like they say, oh, it's 5 hours, like perfect, but then like when you buy it, it's like trash, like it's just like doesn't even match the quality of it, right? So have you ever
Yeah.
found there's products on there that were just like fake? And I guess from your standpoint, how do you deal with that? Like how do you do I guess as a consumer, but also when you're selling something, how do you like sell something in competition with other people?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So most people don't know this, but there's actually two different types of review platforms online. There's what's called an open review platform, and then there's a closed review platform. So open review platforms typically allow anyone to leave a review, even if they haven't bought the product, right? So in the local business, in the local industry, that's like Yelp or that they typically let anybody leave a review about anything. And then online, that's like Trustpilot, or there's reseller ratings. There's a Better Business Bureau. You can leave reviews there and not necessarily have bought anything. And then there's other review platforms like Shopper Approved. We're a closed review platform. So what that means is that only people that buy your product can leave a review. And so consumers don't really know that, and it's hard to be able to tell the difference. So you just have to do like your homework when you're actually looking at reviews online to try to find out what the source is and who they allow to leave reviews in order to know if you can trust them or not. And there's a lot of, especially like with AI coming out, and like an AI bot can leave a really good review. You can't tell that that's not a human, right? And so I think these open review platforms are going to run into some problems here real quick because people can't tell if it's a real person or not.
Right.
So
Because they're better than humans in their grammar. Just kidding.
yeah,
I'm guilty of, I'm one of those people. I don't know if you ever met those people where they're just, when they talk about they do apostrophe RE. I just do your with just an R. I'm just very lazy with that. Or sometimes I just forget. And it's like, oh man, your grammar is killing me. Um,
yeah.
so, but it's funny is that you mentioned that, is that, it is true because there's a lot of like, you can't really tell, based on their comments and their reviews of the product. They could be just an AI type person, So actually, I really actually thought that was interesting that you mentioned that. And, we'll probably go into AI a little later on in terms of, but I guess just for, for all purposes, because, a lot of people, we all have products. We all want to put something online and we have something to sell, right? Like, for example, at Command Your Brand, we have our book, for example. We do a podcasting book where we actually talk about our company, but also how podcasting can help you from a public relations standpoint, right? And there's also people who sell courses and, other things like digital products, right? Like from your standpoint, like what is the easiest way that you found to sell these products, either on Amazon or some other store? Like, do you have any tips for that for people maybe that they're starting off or they're new with that? Like, what would you do with that?
Well, I think to get ratings and reviews for new products, I mean, it doesn't hurt to reach out to family and friends at the beginning, right? To just kind of get that ball going. That's probably the easiest way. Um, but ultimately, I mean, you just have to make it a priority, because if you don't make ratings and reviews a priority, then you just miss out on that social proof. And as you know, like that's really important. Like even like with your podcast, right? I'm sure you're probably on Apple, and you probably ask people to go leave a review there because you know that those star ratings are going to influence people when they go to find a podcast to watch. And I do the same thing. I have a podcast, a religious podcast that I do, and I really I constantly am asking my guests, hey, can you do me a favor and go leave a review here, right? And so you just have to make it a priority. If you don't, then the problem is if you don't actively go and do it, these open review platforms, they're kind of this way to collect reviews passively. But the problem is a lot of people that aren't happy with your brand will go and leave reviews there, because a lot of times these open review platforms turn into complaint boards. And right? Because like if happy people don't go out of their way to leave a review unless they had an amazing experience, but unhappy people, they'll find every place in the world they can to complain about you.
Yeah.
And so you have to really be vigilant in your quest for social proof, And if you're not, these open review platforms will create your reputation for you, and it won't be good.
Right. We actually have a word in that for our younger generation called Karens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. And it's really a lot of people, I think, when they post online, they always kind of do research and seems what the right thing to do is, because a lot of people just don't know what to actually do when they post something. And especially a digital product like a book, or like even, a course of some nature is a little harder, because like you
Mhm.
mentioned, like there's a review aspect, like you have friends, family, people probably would review for you. And it's kind of wild to me how just a few 5 stars or a few 4 stars just like really just boost your visibility in like just looking for a product. I don't know. On Amazon, I get,
Yeah.
I buy some weird stuff, not like crazy stuff, but like kind of funny stuff. And you just get popped up like really funny things. Like they're like this like invention that you just never heard of before, but it's like kind of cool. Like I don't know. I bought, so the other day I was like this weird doggy cleaner for like the dogs of paws, and I'm like, that's just so random, but it's like really funny too. It's like kind of like, but it was like it had like 5,005 stars, and it was kind of like crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it gave me the urge to say, I'm gonna buy, because it's like people are talking about it. There's videos about it. Like I'm gonna get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the past, Amazon, they've got a lot of flack because they do allow they allow open reviews on Amazon. A lot of people don't know that. They just don't put verified next to them. So you there's just these little things that you need to be aware of as a consumer so that you can check. But so even Amazon can be gamed. So you really have to be careful. But I think as we go on and people see more and more reviews, they're able to tell. Like there's like a feeling. Once you're looking at something, you can kind of tell if it's being if they're fake reviews or not. And your little sensor goes off, and your warning sign goes off in your head, and you're like, I don't think these are real, right?
Yeah.
But even sometimes we still want the product enough where we take the gamble, and sometimes it pays off, and sometimes it doesn't. So,
Right. And so as a consumer, I guess, we obviously, everyone here who's listening is in some way, shape, or form a consumer. I guess as another consumer besides me, how do you pick out what's the right thing to buy, or what's the I won't say the right thing to buy, but more of the legit thing to buy rather than a fake thing to buy? Like, how would you spot those things?
yeah. So, I mean, on Amazon, one of the easy signs is the name of the brand, right? If it's something you can't pronounce
Yeah.
and they have a ton of just amazing reviews, like you probably need to take a little bit of a deeper look into that. Um, and I would always look at the 1 stars, right? Like usually if people are trying to fake it, they won't have 1 stars. And the 1 stars they do have are people that fell for it and then were disappointed. So you can usually look at the 1 stars and tell, if a brand is legit or not. If the 1 stars are like, they said it would be there in 2 days and it took 5 days, well, that's not a problem, right? But if they talk about the product quality and how crappy it is and things like that, then that's a red flag. The other thing that you can look for is if the company is responding to their bad reviews. If a company actively responds to their bad reviews, that's actually a really good sign, because that shows that they're actively involved and they really want every customer to have a good experience with their product. And so that's something that we really emphasize with our clients is make sure that you respond to every 1 and 2 star review, and make sure you do it personally. Like don't use a template. Don't just say something that doesn't mean anything. Like really take some time to think about the answer from their perspective. Like put yourself in their shoes. What are they feeling? What would they want you to say in order to have their problem resolved? Because the other thing too is a lot of people do look at 1 stars. And so if you take the time to write a reply to a 1 star, we call that turning a negative review into a net positive,
Right.
because other people are going to read those 1 stars, and they're actually, if you do it right and you apply properly to those 1 stars, they're worth like 105 stars all day long.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. And so just because I know you mentioned it a few, I think a few questions earlier, like, from your religious background, like, do you think your religious beliefs and things that play a part in your success and just really knowing and, having these things? Because you've been in business for 15 years, right? So do you think for you has like religion or just your belief system really helped you in that business and just stay in business?
Yeah,
Or
I
or
mean,
even just being successful?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think honesty and integrity are a huge part of doing business online, and especially as a review company, right? Like we cannot put our reputation on, we can't do anything shady, right? Because if anybody ever found out that we did something that was inappropriate, then our whole reputation is on the line and all of our clients' reputations are on the line. So we really need to make sure that we have integrity and honesty, that we're dealing with everybody fairly. Sometimes that is creates a problem because
Yeah.
one of our clients will get a bad review and they'll want us to remove it, right? But in order to be transparent, we can't. And so we've actually had clients that have quit, that have left us because we won't remove a review. But I think that that's just where, you've got to draw a line. You can't cross that line because otherwise you lose everything. So I think honesty and integrity are a huge part of business, and I think that does come from my beliefs, from the core. So
Mhm.
I do think
Wow.
that's helped.
Yeah, I think that's so true because people who sell online and don't are not honest, they just can't really make it like at the end of it. Because especially someone who's been in business 15 years, you have fair share experience where there's things that are tough and things that are you go through a lot of stuff, trials and errors, and it's like, but you push through because you have this belief of like personal integrity and honesty about a lot of different things, especially your business and other people's business. So I think that's
Mhm.
really, really, really good, and especially when people out there, I don't know. It's funny, like when you remember, I don't know if you remember this during COVID, that the toilet paper was running out. It's like kind of like, oh, we have some. We're going to resell it for double the price. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
kind of crazy, like things like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really wild to me how just people will exploit things just to get money. You know what I mean? And I think it's one of the things that I think I forgot who read this to me. It was from a book where it was like, money is one of the most sinful things you can do with yourself. You know what I mean? So it's a little
Mhm.
wild like that.
Yeah, it's a balance, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you've got to live with yourself, right?
Right.
And I want to have a clear conscience, and I want to be able people to be able to trust our brand and know that it stands for honesty, integrity, and that our reviews are as real and truthful as they can be from real customers.
Amazing. Awesome. So I know before we're going to go, we're going a lot into your business. I actually would love to talk about your books. I know you've given me a book and I haven't actually read it yet, but I'm definitely going to read it. But I would love to just talk a little bit about your book and like, just, I guess your stance in terms of your book. Like, I guess, what is your goal with your book? Like, what do you like? And this is for people who are clients of yours, and these are for people who just are, business owners. Who is this book for?
Yeah, so the book's called Reputation King.
Yeah.
Um, how to become the most trusted online brand in your industry. And the reason why we wrote it is because being in the review space for 15 years, I mean, I've been in the trenches for so long, helping companies really build and transform their online brand. And we've learned so many things along the way that can help businesses with their reputation. In fact, we've learned so many things that we can take a brand and turn them into what we call a reputation king.
Mm,
And so, that information is just in our heads. We live it every day, but online brands are struggling to figure out what's going to work, what's going to make my brand stand out online. And we just realized, we have so much information. We need to get that out there in a way that e-commerce brands can understand it and that they can take action to really move the needle on their online visibility, their online trust, because there's so many things that they can do that they're not doing. And if they knew what they could leverage and how much value that could bring to their company, that's why we wrote the books, to help them understand that and be able to really do something with their brand that they're not doing right now.
Right. That's very impactful too. I think also the socks has a lot of it to do with it too. Just for people who don't know, you get when you get the book. I don't know how the process works. Scott, maybe you can explain. But you get a box with the book, but also you get a pair of socks with it too. So I kind of love that.
Yeah. And that's another way we market it, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and this is for people who are watching this, not listening. There's actually I'm showing a box of what it looks like, so you can kind of see it. But you also, if you open the box, you actually get a pair of these cool socks, and this is probably great marketing for you. Is you get these really cool, amazing star socks, which is pretty awesome. So I'm definitely gonna wear those. So
that's awesome. Yeah, people love the socks. And, the reason why we created that kit, we call it Reputation King Kit.
Yeah.
And the reason why we did that, and I think this applies to your podcast specifically, commanding your brand, right? So when we knew that we needed to get the attention of e-commerce website owners, and that's not always easy because they're super busy, right? And so we wanted to make something that would really stand out. So when they got it in the mail, we wanted it to be the coolest thing that they ever got. And so we created this kit to really wow them when they get it. And it's like you said, it's got the book, and the book is super nice. Like, it's hardbound, it's embossed, it's full color. We just went all out on the book. And then they get a strategy guide that gives them a super high level overview of what's in the book and the strategies. There's 35 strategies that you can use to leverage your reputation online. And then they get a cool $1 million bill. That $1 million bill has a stand that you can put on your desk. So you can, it's motivational, because our goal is to help our clients make $1 million. So that's why the $1 million bill is in there too. And then, of course, the socks, which is just a fun gift, because lots of people love crazy socks. And so we thought we'd throw it in there. But we're really trying to make an impression and really stand out from the crowd. And I think it's been really successful.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you definitely left a mark for me with socks, man. I'm like, dude, he just gave me some socks with a book and $1 million gold ticket. I'm like, oh my God, if I'm in Willy Wonka's factory.
yeah, right.
Wow, that's amazing. So I guess, in terms of the book, right? So I guess, who are people who should read this book? Like, who is this book for? Is this for, people who want to sell online? Is this for business owners? Is this for, like, I guess, for people who let's say they want to, after the show, they want to get the book, right? Who is this for? I guess is my first question.
So the book is written specifically for people that sell products or services online. We really target online merchants, right? That's our niche at Shopper Approved. We have another company called localreviews.com that targets people with local businesses or services. So there's those two different brands, but they serve a completely different target. With Reputation King and Shopper Approved, that's e-commerce and online services, software companies, things like that sell products on the internet.
Amazing. And I guess for you, because we're obviously now coming to the age of, AI and using AI and putting AI in this, putting AI in that, we'll sprinkle AI on that, writing AI, so it's like kind of everywhere, like almost basically robots and just artificial intelligence has taken over our life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see the future look like in, let's say, a few years down the line, maybe in 5 years? Like, how do you see this in terms of e-commerce, buying things, selling things online? How does AI fit into all that?
Yeah, so I think we're starting to see a little bit of it especially like when it comes to online reputation and reviews. You see summaries, right? Like when you go to Amazon, you'll see like a little summary of all the reviews and what people are saying, kind of some of the sentiment behind a product or service. I think that really helps because before AI, that was very difficult to put together. But now that you have that, you can break the data down and you can see what consumers are saying about the product, whether it's good or bad. And that even makes it faster for you to make a decision, right?
Mm,
And so I think you're going to see more of that. You're also going to see, this is my prediction, you're going to see AI telling on itself. So so in other words, fake reviews, right? We talked about fake reviews. I think you're going to see AI weeding out some of the fake reviews that people make with AI. And so if it'll get smart enough where it can tell where it's coming from and then sort some of that out so you can get rid of that noise and really focus on the real reviews. Um, so I think those are a couple of the ways. On the like I said earlier, open review platforms to let anyone leave a review, they're going to have some struggles because of AI. So I don't know what the future of open review platforms look like. I think you're going to have to do some type of phone verification
mm,
so that it can tell that it's you before it lets you post the review. That would be my guess. Just because there's got to be some way for the consumer to validate that they're a real person at least.
right. That would make sense because I feel like if anyone can just, write what they want, it's kind of like, oh, this is an AI bot. But I'm sure there's also probably AI, tools that people can spot if it's AI, like writings or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that
Yep.
leave traces of it, right?
Definitely.
Great. Awesome, man. Well, I also really appreciate it. I kind of want to also go into a little bit about you and your business. Like, could you tell us a little bit? Because I'd love to hear some of this too, is like some success stories you've had in your business or anybody you've helped that was like really impactful for you that like you felt really made a difference.
Yeah. So one of the things that we do here, and this is something a lot of people don't know either, there's probably 5 or 6 major online review platforms. We're one of them, but a lot of our competitors have taken venture capital and we haven't. And so we are completely independent. That is a good thing and a bad thing, right? So the nice thing about that is we get to decide our future. We're not held to anyone, any investors telling us what to do. We get to decide. And so one of the things that we do to stay competitive is we're really scrappy and we're constantly trying different things in order to find unique opportunities, right? To help our clients be more successful. And that's been something that I think has really helped us with our success. But part of that is just doing a lot of different tests and surveys and just throwing things on the wall to see what works. So one of the products that we created just by throwing things on the wall is something we call the trust bar.
Hmm.
And the trust bar was an idea that we had where and it came out of behavioral science, the behavioral science world, where we would give people reviews, and because we're a Google partner, they would show up in Google before they got to the website. But then what our clients were doing was they were just putting like our little shopper approved badge at the bottom of their site, and so consumers weren't seeing it until they scrolled down, which a lot of people don't do. And so they were losing this opportunity to have social proof at the top of the site. And so we created something called a trust bar. And the trust bar goes at the very top of the page, and it's got your ratings and reviews and some other social proof data in it. And so what happens is people see your reviews in Google, and then they get to your site and they see it again. And what that does is it reinforces that social proof that they already saw, and it makes them way more likely to trust you and to buy from you. So we did this test with one of our clients, And we put this trust bar at the top, and we did this the split test with it on or off. And just with adding that trust bar at the top of their page, they increased their conversions on their entire website by 41% with a 99.5% confidence interval. So, and that just shows you how powerful social proof can be when you use it right and you put it in the right place. So that's one example. Another example of a really cool product we made where we're just throwing things on the wall because we want to see what works is because there's a lot of these open review platforms where anyone can go leave a review. And we talked about how a lot of times those are negative. Well, we had this idea where like, well, if anyone can go leave a review, why don't we just send verified customers to go leave reviews on those open review platforms instead of our own platform once somebody makes a purchase? And so we created this product. It's called Reputation Manager Pro. And basically what it does is when a customer buys, we send them to these open review platforms to leave a review. And the cool part about that is it's completely white hat. It's completely ethical because all we're doing is saying, hey, you just made a purchase from this company. Go leave a review over there. Right? Not incentivizing them or anything. We're just redirecting them to go leave a review on one of these open review platforms, and they can write whatever they want. They can rate whatever they want. But the cool part about that is that we did a survey, a national survey, and we asked people, we're like, hey, when you make a purchase online, do you go and look at multiple review platforms to see what a company's reputation is? And two out of every three people said yes. So if that's true, and you have bad reviews on 2 or 3 open review platforms, what's going to be your response when you go and search for that brand? You're not going to want to buy from them, right?
Right.
And so by us giving our clients this opportunity to go leave the reviews on all these other sites, it naturally elevates their reputation. And so now when somebody goes and does a search for a brand, they see that they have 4 or 5 stars across multiple review platforms, and they know they can trust that brand. So what we did was using that technology, we worked with a major cell phone company. And at the beginning, they had a 1.2 star rating on Trustpilot, right? So
yeah.
It was bad. But it's because they weren't actively promoting their brand, like we talked about earlier. And so all we did was when somebody would buy from that company, we would say, hey, go leave a review on Trustpilot. And within 7 months, we took that company from a 1.2 to a 4.2.
Wow.
Right? And it completely changed their whole online reputation. But it's just because they were paying attention and they knew what tools to use in order to have the proper online reputation that actually matched their brand, because they're a really good brand.
Right. That's very awesome. I really appreciate the time you've given us and just kind of giving a lot of successes and a lot of questions. I think a lot of people too just sometimes don't know, or they apply the wrong thing to their products or what they're selling and how reviews play a part. And so I really appreciate the time you've given us just in really understanding that. So I guess before we end off here, I'd love for people to reach out to you. I know you're also offering a gift, I believe, for people who are listening to this, like on something that you wanted to share. If you wanted to share that, you can.
Yeah. So one of the things we do is for Reputation King, if you want a free copy, a free digital copy or streaming audio copy, you can just go to reputationking.com/download. And that bypasses all the opt-in forms and everything. And you can just go straight there and listen to it or read it on your Kindle or your phone or your iPad. If you want the physical copy, you can just go to reputationking.com, and for $20, we'll send you the kit that we sent to you, Josh, with the spots and everything.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say we're just trying to recoup some of our costs on that, but basically it's cost, right? But it's amazing. So that's another option.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time you've given us and just asking a lot of these burning questions for a lot of people who want to sell online and really just get to know you, but also how to do it and how you do it. So I think for people who are interested, you should definitely check out Scott and check out that book, Reputation King. I think you guys would love it. I'm going to start reading it myself. And, Scott, it was definitely an honor to talk to you. And I thank you for joining the show, man.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. I think also everyone here for listening to this, if you guys like this stuff, please like and subscribe and definitely hit the like button on this because I think it'll definitely help the channel out. All right. All right, guys. Well, have a good one. And Scott, it was an honor talking to you, man.
Thanks.